Scorpio, February energies are upon us. Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Hello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to your Transformational Tarot for February for the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio, this is for Sun, Moon, Rising, and your Venus, and for anyone who has a Scorpio in their life that they love. So we are going to be pulling an overarching theme from the 22 Archangels Oracle from Kyle Gray, and then we're pulling Jamie Sawyer's Felt Tarot for you today for the main reading. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, Scorpios. So February is going to be a little bit of an up and down month collectively with the energies, but I feel like this is a storm that you were built to weather. We'll see what the theme has to say, but I do feel like there's a lot that I want to say can get done even when it feels like times are slow or there are obstacles in the way. So have no fear. Azrael, transcendence. You wouldn't be who you are without what you have overcome. Own your story. Wow. Another sign, I can't remember which one got this card as well. So I feel like Scorpios, this is a month where you're really going to be encouraged to look at how far you've come. This is not a month where you want to be beating yourself up and saying, "Oh, I should have done more. I'm not doing enough." This is the month to really say, "Here's what I've actually accomplished." And even if you have to go as far back as childhood to say how far you've come, it's important to take the time to be able to make that evaluation. This is a time to strut your feathers, to toot your own horn. This is a time for you to really connect to the ways that you have, I want to say, helped other people and the ways that you have evolved, especially over the last 10 years. I don't know why I'm saying that, but this is the month to really kind of compile that information for yourself, whether it's in a journal form or, bullet pointing it, or you're just kind of taking stock in your own head. Maybe you're having a conversation with a friend or a processor to be able to kind of bring it to light. But I feel like it needs to be acknowledged and it also needs to be spoken out loud. And so you might even want to consider doing what I call is like a burning ceremony or a fire ceremony, where you write it all down, you speak it out loud, and then you burn the pages. You release it, you acknowledge it in a more ritualistic type of way. All right. So where are you presently in your current transformation? What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? Interesting. Page of Swords. I feel like you are... So this is a general reading. Take what works for you, leave the rest behind. But I feel like you are in a space where you're trying to learn something new. For some of you, I feel like this is a journey that was started a while ago and you're just kind of in the research phase. But for some of you, I feel like this may be you feeling the need to learn something new or the drive to learn something new, but you don't necessarily know what that is going to be or what that looks like yet. And I'm feeling like when we have this Page of Swords energy, sometimes, Page of Swords can get, their nose lost in a book. But also it's the ignition of the inspiration, and then you get 57,000 ideas, and you want to implement them all at once. I feel like this is right now an important time for you to write down all of those inspirations, but you understand that you don't have to act on them all at once. In fact, I'm feeling like February is a month where you're not going to be doing a ton of action as much as you're going to be doing, feels like planning things out, really giving consideration to what these inspirations are trying to get you to see about them, what they want to become. I don't feel that this is you, moving full speed ahead. I feel like this is you gathering the information that's coming through. Kind of like this, where you're owning your story, you're evaluating what you've done and how far you've come. Now, when these inspirations are coming through, it's almost like, okay, is it connected to things that I've already done and created and built? Or are these new inspirations that I'm going to build? And it's almost like when you take the time to really give consideration to it and you've already done the work here, when these inspirations come through, you're going to recognize how they want to grow and develop. Something that I learned a long time ago, and it was kind of a hard lesson for me to learn, was that sometimes an inspiration comes through and it's not a fully formed thought. And if you jump on it right away, you kind of miss the boat on all the things that it wants to become. And, you might get a portion of the way and then you realize, oh, I should have done this a little bit differently. Or sometimes you just need a little time to percolate because it gives it to you in little phases or stages or hunks and chunks. That's kind of what I'm feeling here is do the evaluation, because the inspirations that are coming in now may want to build upon what you've had, what you've done already, or may want to be completely different. But if you don't give it time to, kind of develop and to share with you what it wants to be, you might assume that it's something that you have already done and either choose not to do it or choose to do it and you're doing it in the same way. And then you're not understanding why it's not kind of coming to pass or not working out. So keep a little bit of that in mind. That's interesting. This is the catalyst. What's fueling or hindering your transformation? Is this resistance or rocket fuel? Oh, this is the one that's standing out. Here we have the Six of Pentacles. So yes, I feel like this is a month where you're really evaluating what you're choosing to invest your time and your energy into. Obviously, Pentacles represents health and wealth. I'm feeling for some of you, this is going to be, actual tangible financial investments that you're going to be exploring. But for a lot of you, I feel like this is connected to your health. And I feel like it's, maybe you're deciding, okay, I want to be on a weight loss journey, or I want to be on a health journey to change up the things that I'm putting in my body. Maybe I want to train to run a marathon. I feel like the health piece feels really important. This could also be a mental health journey where you're recognizing, all right, I've got all of these ideas that are coming through and I'm feeling really down in the dumps because I don't know how I'm going to be able to make it all happen. So then that's a mental health issue. You want to find out what is causing or triggering you to feel unworthy or ill-equipped or, whatever the case may be. 6 is all about harmony, balance, and alignment. And I feel like there are going to be I'm hearing two distinctive catalytic moments this month that are going to really ask you what it is that you are wanting to invest your time and your energy into. And PS and FYI, you can always say no. Like this is a free will planet. Your guides are not going to force you to do one thing or the other. You have the option. And by the way, this is not going to be an either or situation. This is a both and. If you want to say yes to both opportunities, you'll have that as a possibility. But I'm also feeling like you've got to do this work first in order to really understand why this is showing up, or why the urgency for it, or why the desire to connect in this way, to get the most bang for your buck and to really be able to transcend what is transpiring for you to get to the other side. You really want to be very clear about what your intentions are. Know your why. Know your why. From a financial perspective, for those who are kind of vibing at that frequency, I feel like what's coming up here is kind of your spidey senses letting you know that there are going to be some kind of major changes that are happening to the banking system, to the stock exchange, to crypto, to like all the things that are connected with money. And I feel like this might also be an invitation for you to evaluate where your monies are. And maybe it's about diversification. Maybe it's about making sure that you don't have all your eggs in one basket, just kind of knowing where your monies are, knowing where your treasures are and how you want them to work for you. Deep root, what deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? Oh, I love this. Yeah. So, Scorpio, this is a card that is all about the ideal outcome. It's a card of love. It's a card of relationship. It's a card of really connecting to yourself and source, feeling grateful for all the things that you have been able to attain and acquire, feeling grateful for your life. When we're talking about this as a deep root, I feel like what you're going to be kind of struggling with this month and with all of this transcendence is your feeling of belonging to the people that you've chosen. It's an interesting statement to make. And I feel like you're wanting this, that this is the thing that you are seeking. This is the thing that you're doing everything you can to create for yourself. This is the thing that you have in the past created for yourself. It's not that you don't have this or that you're not going to have this, but there's something connected to the fear of this going away, or somehow you don't matter as much to the people that you've chosen as they matter to you. So I feel like there is going to be a little bit of an emotional or a mental exploration into where that's coming from and how you can receive from the people around you maybe a little bit of reassurance that you do matter. You do make a difference to those that are in your life and in your circle. I caution you here as well to not overcommit. There's a tendency here for some of you to overcompensate. You're looking to get that validation and maybe you don't realize it. Obviously, this is a subconscious thing. And then you start to overdo things, do too much, or do 150% when the other person is really only expecting 50%, but they aren't aware that, you're having some, feeling some type of way about what's going on. So resist the urge to overcommit and to overcompensate with the people in your life. Instead, communicate it. Communicate it through love, communicate it through a hug, communicate it through actual words, letting people know I'm feeling a little vulnerable today. I'm feeling like I don't know how much I mean. I don't know how much I matter to you or to this situation. And I could use a hug. I could use, words of encouragement. I could use some reassurance in this situation. What's dying away? What role, pattern, or identity has run its course? Ace of Wands. Interesting. I just keep hearing the phrase false starts. You feeling like a lot of false starts, things that you've made priority in your life for you have seemed to kind of sputter and spur along. Not to say that things haven't manifested for you, but I feel like a lot of the manifesting or a lot of the things that you've been working on and working towards have very deeply been about other people in your life. And I feel like anything that you've been wanting to really kind of sink your teeth into for you, that is new, that is expansive, I don't know that it's necessarily kind of, spread its wings and flown. It doesn't mean that you haven't had traction or that the things that you've set out to do for yourself haven't come to pass in some capacity. But there's some feeling here, and again, general reading, take what works for you, leave the rest behind. There's a feeling here that I have like when you're trying to really feel deeply connected to something that you want for yourself, other people's wins or successes have been taking precedence, maybe overshadowing some of the success that you have had, or like you're wanting to move forward with something and you're having to put that on hold because of something else or someone else's dreams, someone else's expectations. So I feel when we're talking about what's dying away, I feel like what's dying away is this, you not feeling like the things that you want to do for you are really manifesting. I feel like that's done. It's not going to be sputtering along. I feel like this energy is lifting and there will be more inspired action. There will be, I want to say, more space for you in your life, and also when you have this conversation, more space for you in the people whose lives that you choose. So very much about relationship this month for you guys. And that's not, I'm not saying that because it's, Valentine's Day. I don't even buy into all that stuff. This is just, it happens to be a deep relationship oriented month for you Scorpios. Okay. Highest Phoenix potential. What can rise from the ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is your breakthrough energy. Interesting. Balance, bringing a little more balance into your life. Saying no to being everything to everyone this month, and instead really figuring out where you fit in. 1, 11, 2 ones coming together. Whenever we have something like this, that's considered a master number, so we don't break it down into a 2 numerologically. It's a master number, 1, 1. And so I feel like this is relationship between you and your source energy, right? Where do you stand? Where does source stand in your life? And if you have balance in that, then everything else starts to make sense, starts to pan out. I'm going to point out that the Page of Swords is also an 11. So we do have 2 11s, and we've got this 10, which is a 1. And we've also got the Ace, new beginnings. So there's a lot of energy for you guys this month around fresh starts and initiations into something that is more aligned for all involved, not just for one person in the dynamic, but for everyone. And it comes from your choice to really reconnect, reorient yourself to your source energy, your aligned soul path, your desires. And this, I feel, is also like a self-care thing that's coming up as well. For some of you, there may be some health related stuff popping up. And you're going to be, really needing to just kind of say, okay, what does my body need? Again, I talked about mental health stuff too. What does my mind need for peace, for calm, for no anxiety, an anxiety-free day or an anxiety-free hour? These are, I feel, the questions that you're going to be asking yourself. And I feel like when we talk about this being your highest Phoenix potential, this is the step that you're going to take in order to get to the balance. And where there is balance, I feel there is truth. There is clarity in the truth around the situation. And that's ultimately what you're seeking, is a little more clarity around where you're at right now and where you want to be. It's a little cloudy right now, but it's cloudy because of all of these other people, all of these other relationships in your life that you have, very kindly and lovingly devoted to. But now it's time to just kind of pull back a little bit and devote a little more to yourself. Next step, what's emerging just around the corner? What energy or experience is coming in to support the next phase? Interesting. So this is pause and breathe. And I feel like, this is a lot of things, but I'm feeling this is pause and breathe for you Scorpios. In essence, it's kind of like what we said. You're taking some stock of how many people you've helped out, how much you have grown, the enlightenment that you've gained. You are taking the time to really evaluate the inspirations that are coming through and to formulate the plan. You're bringing yourself more into alignment. Your goal is whatever balance is for you in that moment in terms of your relationships. And the Hanged One says it's going to bring about a shift in perspective, and it's going to give you the opportunity to really pause and breathe. And I feel like a pause is necessary, Scorpios, because, and I mentioned this earlier, I don't feel like this is a month with a ton of action. I feel like this is a month with a ton of reflection, and any action is in like recording your reflections and then evaluating them, really sitting with them to determine, are they still relevant and valid? Do I still need to keep going in this direction, or, should I pull back? The pause and breathe, I feel like, is really important. Again, talking about mental health stuff, talking about physical health stuff, emotional health stuff. doing too much leads to burnout. And it also leads to feeling like you're by yourself or like you're having to hold the whole world, carrying the world on your shoulders. Pay attention to where you are taking on too much responsibility. Pause and breathe and allow the breath to inform your choices. Allow the breath to steer you in the right direction for you. And what is the right direction for you? That intuitive path, the intuitive voice. A lot of you have been feeling like you've been listening to your intuition, but I don't feel like it's the intuitive voice as much as it's the ego that's been in disguise. When we get quiet, when we pause and we breathe and we get still, things really open up. We really hear things that we thought we were listening to or we thought we were doing. But when you sit into that and you become it, like all parts of your body becomes that breath, that's where everything really starts to open up. We talk about the clarity, right, that comes through. I think I mentioned that here with the Justice card. You've got to do the pause and breathe. So this is what is emerging around the corner for you, is an opportunity to kind of take a break, to take a rest, to not have to drive the bus, to not have to carry the weight of so many people's responsibilities, things and stuff, whatever it happens to be. This I also feel is you as the tree. You're strong. You can carry a lot. You are home to a lot of flora and fauna, right? You're home to the squirrels and the birds, and, you're home to the dew in the morning, and, you're home to absorbing the sun, the light of the sun, and helping you to nourish, not only yourself, but the people around you. That's not going to change, but you also need to take some of that nourishment for yourself. And I feel like that is the message that's coming through here. You're going to be making some changes to how you are in service to those around you. And those changes are going to be for the better. Circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? And is it a positive or a negative transformation? We have the Devil card. Interesting. So I'm going to read this today for you guys as sometimes the devil is the rebel. It's a rebel energy. It says, I'm not going to conform. I'm not going to do things that everybody else expects me to do or that society tells me I'm supposed to do. I want to be wild. I want to let my hair down. I want to just go and do something that is completely unexpected just to see how it feels, just to infuse a little more life into my life. And so I feel like the people that you support may not necessarily be supportive of this or understanding of what this is. And that's why I feel like it's so important to communicate, not to say that, don't do it because they don't understand it. It's more about just communicate without, it's not a justification. It's not asking for permission. It's just giving an explanation and then off you go. I feel like this helps you to release yourself of this idea or this notion that if you do something for yourself outside of the circles of support that you support, that somehow that's going to throw everything off balance. This is saying to you, do it anyway. See what happens, because there's a part of you that wants to be reclaimed. And you're not seeing it or feeling it. Like it's there, it's niggling under the surface, but you can't quite put your finger on it. By being a little rebellious, by doing something that is, spontaneous and off the cuff and not what anyone might expect you to do, helps to get your blood moving. And it's going to shake things up and reveal to you that piece of the puzzle that you're missing. So the devil in this case, I feel, is very positive because it's encouraging you to connect with an aspect of yourself that has been dormant for a while. Let it out. Hopes and fears. Who are you dreaming of becoming, and what scares you about actually doing it? Wow. That's super powerful. I don't know why I'm going to say this to you, Scorpios, today, but this is what's coming through. I feel like this month some aspect of you is afraid of the truth. You're afraid for the sun to actually shine its light on the entire picture, the entire scope of what you're looking at. Because when the sun shines its light, there is no room for shadow, right? Like everything that you're looking at, the shadow is behind the object, right? You're looking at the object and there's nothing you can't unsee. It reveals everything. I'm being shown, I went for a long needed, long time in coming facial a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, the light that they shine, I'm sure what she was seeing on my face is something that I don't ever want to see on my face, because then I will just be fixated at the fact that that's what my face looks like, right? That's kind of the energy of what I'm feeling here. And Scorpio, I'm not saying that you're afraid of the truth all the time. In fact, you, over most signs, you value it. You want to go into that deep dive. You're not afraid to really look at something and to go deep with it. But that doesn't mean, just because you're a Scorpio, that doesn't mean that you don't have things in your life that maybe you're not proud of, or maybe that are difficult for you to see in regards to some choices that you've made in the past. We are ever evolving, and this is you included. This month is about evaluation and looking at things in a different way. So I feel like the sun coming up, in terms of your hopes and fears, is you want to be free and to ride in the light of the sun and to be fully in your truth. But there's a part of you that is worried about what you might see if that light is shone in a particular way, like head on to either a particular aspect of your life or all of the moving parts. Again, we're talking about relationships for you this month. The relationships that you have with people, who you support, who you have chosen. And you've chosen them for various different reasons, but mostly because you really love them and you like them and you want to share your life with them. You want to have these experiences with them. And there's a part of you that's worried that if you shine the light too brightly, that you might see some things that might make it a bit uncomfortable for you. And I'm not saying you got to shine that light. I'm just saying pay attention to where you might be fearful. If you're bold and courageous and you want to shine that light in spite of the fear, rock on with your bad self. I fully support you in doing that. I don't feel that what you're going to see is maybe as bad or dun, 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 as you might be fearing, but I do feel that it is going to be significant. It is going to be something that you'll have to sit with and process and figure out, is this the way I want to move forward? Do I want to continue in this vein, or is it serving me in these ways? So there is a bit of a deep dive that's coming through. I would say this is a positive influence for you, though, because anything that we're afraid to look at, where we have shame or fear around, is a poison to us. It's a toxin. So when you look at it, you can then release it. You can move it from the body, and it's a purification process. So I'm going to say it's positive, but it may feel a little bumpy as you're kind of looking at it. That's kind of how I would put that out there. I feel like I've skipped a thing. I don't know what I skipped. Did we do the role in this shift? How are you navigating this transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? I think that's the one I missed. So we'll do that. This is your role. You in this process. How are you navigating the transformation? So we have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, you're taking it slow and steady. And I want to say there's a little bit of resistance. And because this is out of order now, I'm cheating a little bit based on, sort of what I was getting with your hopes and fears. With the Sun card, I feel like you are resisting a little bit here. And you're resisting because, again, you are a little nervous about what it is that you're going to see, the truth that is going to be revealed when the light is fully shone on it. But I want to say the Knight of Pentacles is the most loyal knight in all of the tarot. And loyal because the energy of this knight says, no matter what happens, we're all here. We're all of the earth. We can make anything tangible. We've got the resources. Sometimes it might take a little time to gather those resources, but we've got them. And this is a knight who's going to be willing to go and get those resources for you. It may take some time. In fact, it's going to take some time. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have the things that you need. You're not going to get, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get the outcome that you desire. I also feel here when we're talking about how you're navigating the transformation, again, this is a month where there's not a ton of action, but you also want to pay attention to where you might be dawdling, where you might be procrastinating a little bit because you are afraid of what the result is to come. So ask yourself those questions. When you are in a procrastination mode, you really want to ask yourself, why am I procrastinating with this thing? It's one thing to procrastinate on getting your taxes done because it's just there's no fun in going through receipts and gathering all the things and the stuff, and eventually I'm going to have to do it, but I might wait till the last second to do it. It's another thing to procrastinate on a conversation that you need to have, where maybe you're ruminating about it a lot. It's another thing to procrastinate on your health, you're feeling sick, so go and, get it taken care of type thing. So you want to be asking your why. Why am I procrastinating? Why am I avoiding taking this step? Because there is clarity in the avoidance. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you're able to kind of move forward with that. All right, now we're at the outcome. If you choose to stay on course, who will you be on the other side of this journey in February? And what is the result of embracing the full cycle of death and rebirth? Ooh, interesting. 7 of Pentacles. So reaping rewards. You, on the other side of this month, I feel like you will be glad that you paid attention to the seeds that you planted. You will be seeing that there is a harvest. There's a fruit, the fruits of your labor are coming into the mix. The people, places, and things that you have been, acknowledging and engaging with, that you've been sharing some of your hopes, fears, dreams, desires, some of your, I'm not doing it, or I'm doing it in a different way. There's going to be growth. And the growth is going to be ongoing. You're not finished with the growth. There's still the harvest that needs to happen. But you're going to see now what I have to work with. And I feel like that's going to be really, really important and necessary for how you're going to move into March. Because I feel like the first week or so, maybe 10 days of March, might still have this kind of slower, take your time energy. But after that, you are going to be kicking it into kind of higher gear. Things are going to start to move pretty swiftly and pretty quickly. So this is showing you what you have to work with. All right, my Scorpios, that is your transformational tarot reading for February. As always, if you need some help, some support, some guidance with the stuff that you're going through this month, feel free to book a session with me. Click on the link below. Would love to be able to help you out. Also, like, subscribe, click the bell, and click on the join button. Let's keep the conversation going and go a little deeper. I've got 3 different levels of membership that we can connect with on a regular basis through my YouTube channel. So excited to be offering that. Would love to connect with you in that way or any other way that you have need. Until we see you for another episode of Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life, I'm sending you lots of love and support. We'll see you on the flip side, and transform well.